Joining our coverage now is Brian Alexander. He's a former military helicopter pilot who served in the Washington, D.C. area. He's now a partner with a law firm specializing in aviation. And Brian Alexander, what we know about the helicopter at this point is that it was a U.S. Army Blackhawk helicopter. Is that the kind of helicopter that we see transporting the president and vice president in Washington?
Yeah, there's a fleet of helicopters attached to HMX-01, which is the Marine unit that is responsible for flights for the executive branch. And then further down the river, the United States Army has a very significant mission supporting about 81 federal agencies. And they typically will fly up and down the Potomac on the helicopter routes that are well established in that area, up and down just past Reagan, almost on a daily basis, typically landing at the Pentagon. In fact, I understand from some of the ADS-B data that the call sign for the helicopter was PAT, P-A-T 25, which is Priority Air Transport. It's the same call sign I used when I flew up and down the river. And looks to me as if it's coming north to south, may have been returning on a mission from the Pentagon or somewhere close by, and maybe returning to Davis Army Airfield. And of course, also interesting to me was, again, based on the very preliminary radar data and what we've heard, the PSA flight may have been circling to land, which means you're normally coming almost directly north-south up the Potomac. Here, if you're circling to land on the northwest runway, runway 33, you would actually pull out a little bit into the river, which could have lent itself to putting these aircraft in closer proximity than normal.
Brian, this helicopter, you think there's a distinct possibility that it was in some kind of VIP transport to or from the Pentagon at that point?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. Not necessarily. I can't say whether or not it's in and out of the Pentagon on this particular flight. The radar data doesn't go far enough to the north to discern that, but it is coming from the north down the river. That suggests to me, having done it hundreds of times, that they've dropped someone off end of the day or returning to base. So that's certainly a possibility. It's obviously too early to tell, but given that it's an Army Blackhawk, if that information as reported is correct, that's a possibility. I would expect that Hawk to be coming out of Davis Army Airfield, where I worked for 5 years. And yeah, I would pray for that crew as well as all the passengers and crew of the aircraft. It's just something that should not happen.
Brian, how many crew on that helicopter?
Well, the flight crew would be 2 typically on a Blackhawk, and they might have a third crew member in the back, in connection with the particular mission, the VIP mission, or even something more than that. But it's a flight crew of 2 in the Blackhawk.
And the people who could be flying as the passengers on that kind of aircraft in Washington, D.C. Could be generals, it could be officials of the Defense Department. Who else in your range of experience flies as passengers on those helicopters?
It's a great question, Lawrence. I mean, I'm a dinosaur. It's been about 30 years since I executed these missions, and at the time it was 80 some odd federal agencies that we supported, including all of the DoD missions, which were sometimes inter-service. You'd have an Army crew supporting Marines or Air Force and vice versa. So really any federal agency could have been on board. Again, the fact that it's coming this time of day, 9 o'clock at night, going north to south, suggests to me it hopefully was a return to base with no federal employees on board. And like I said, we're hopeful the crew is alive.
Brian Alexander, your expertise on this is invaluable. Please stay with us if you can.